Chapter 4. Non-Judgment. Non-Judgment. The mind loves to judge. It is a constant judging machine. It fears silence and is addicted to generating thinkingness. It is basically dualistic and constantly separates mental processing. The duality of the ego or mind is essentially a binary code of thinking in which our brain normally operates. Thus, we categorize or divide life into right, wrong, good, bad, beautiful, or ugly, and so forth. Everything we experience is filtered, categorized, and classified as good, bad, or neutral. When we separate something as good, we tend to cling to it and grasp for more. When we categorize something as bad, we hide, resist, and flee from it. With a neutral categorization, we choose to ignore it. As a result, our judgmental left brain creates attraction, revulsion, and indifference. Our life becomes centered on judgments, which create separation. To categorize things as positive, negative, or neutral is essential to a certain extent. It allows us to make clear decisions and avoid potentially dangerous situations. The issue is that when we overjudge ourselves, others, and the world around us, it causes us to perceive life from a reactive and imbalanced mind. It can also cause us to perceive things from the duality of the ego or mind, rather than our non-dual self. In the process of human evolution, judgment originates from our ego, with all its tendencies to control, project, and dominate. Judgment is our ego's primary defense mechanism in situations that challenge or threaten us. It is the natural means by which we determine threat and danger, a tool for survival. Judgment is based on our perception of the world. It is a habit that causes the mind to narrow, so that we see people and circumstances with tunnel vision, based on perception, which is reinforced by previous programming, such as media, family, society, etc. Judgmentalism is essentially a projection of how we perceive the world, and it reveals what stays repressed within ourselves. What we don't like in others is unconsciously what we have suppressed in ourselves. It is a projection of our interior. Carl Jung wrote, "Projections change the world into the replica of one's own unknown face." Therefore, we need to admit and accept our downside in order to stop projecting what is wrong or right or condemning others, life, and society. According to Jung, founder of analytical psychology, when we admit the presence of our dark side, including negative thoughts or impulses, we can truly start to be free and let go. We need to be at peace with ourselves in order to be in peace with others. Those who have gained self-knowledge no longer judge others because they have seen their darker side. They stop condemning anyone else and view their mistakes as part of being human. When Jesus said, "Judge not, lest you be judged, for you shall be judged by the judgment with which you judge," the words imply that we enclose the world inside our judgments and perception. The way we judge others is more revealing of ourselves. It shows our personal state of mind, and the way we judge others is how we will be judged. Great spiritual teachers have taught us to go beyond our mind, our ego, beyond the psyche with all its attraction, revulsions, and indifference, for example, judgments, and identify with our true nature, which is love. Going beyond our judgment doesn't mean becoming indifferent, but simply seeing things as they are. In the Gospel of Judas, when Jesus was asked if his religion was the only true one, he replied, "Every grain of sand may look just like all the others, yet if you look closely, each is different." Think of the water that makes a garden live. The same water makes roses flower red, lilies flower white, and all the other blooms flower in their colors. Is not the beauty of a bouquet due to the harmony and contrast of different flowers? The very differences in our religions and spiritual practices should stimulate us to go farther toward the one God, the unity of all of us. Our differences in languages, races, and cultures are a celebration of the infinite variety of one life. Only love can empower us to make our differences into a blessing, rather than oppositions and exclusions. This means we should not judge each other according to our differences in religion, beliefs, languages, or cultures, as we are all one through love. We are all from the same source, which is love, and love is not something that can be made into an ideology, a power of truth, or a possession. Love is accomplished only through sharing and giving. It does not judge. Rather, it connects us and transforms our differences into a blessing and unity. Therefore, seek to understand and forgive rather than condemn. In moving towards love, we may become more discerning of truth, but we have to remember that we still don't know everything. We cannot entirely comprehend reality. Buddha said that judgment is impossible because perception can see only the limited information and projection of our own psyche, illusion. Perhaps the key is a willingness to admit that our psyche does not know all. Thus, we cannot judge, because we do not know the totality of everything. Our judgment is up to life, God, or a higher power, and in realizing that one cannot know everything, we can leave the role of judging to that higher power. It is rare to find people who live in a near permanent state of non-judgment. The spiritual journey is one of constant inner transformation. It does not seek perfection, but rather transformation and gradual progress. In order to grow, we constantly face difficulties and struggles, including our judgmental left brain. The goal is simply to become aware of our judgments and be willing to let them go as much as we can. This will reduce emotional disturbances. Discernment of truth versus judgment. When we gain discernment, we are no longer concerned with moralistic judgment, as we intuitively know what works or does not work. We are able to know what is destructive or not, without judging it good or bad. It has been said that when one grows in love and consciousness, one becomes able to see reality as it is without judgment. Discernment is seeing things through the inner self. Judgment sees things through the ego. What is non-judgment? The state of non-judgment is a letting go of automatic judgments that arise in our minds with every experience we encounter. Automatic judgments are the result of programming such as media, family, or society, all of which reinforce our likes and dislikes. Non-judgment means experiencing the present moment with neither indifference, attraction, nor revulsion. We can practice observing things without judging, but we will never be completely free from the processing instrument that is our mind. We cannot control what comes into our minds, as it is in our nature to think. There is an inner dialogue that occurs that happens independently and spontaneously. We cannot stop the progression of thinkingness, but we can prevent the course of judgment. Ram Dass writes, "When you go out into the woods and you look at trees, you see all these different trees. Some of them are bent, and some of them are straight, and some of them are evergreens, and some of them are whatever. You look at the tree, and you allow it. You appreciate it. You see why it is the way it is. You sort of understand that it didn't get enough light, and so it turned that way. Observe things as they are without judgment. Thinkingness is like the movement of ocean waves. It never stops. But in the depth of the ocean, there is a place of pure silence and stillness, like that between two thoughts, a place where there is no judgment. Some sages and saints, while forming different traditions, live in a state of non-judgment. We can practice doing so at any time. In Buddhist tradition, mindfulness and meditation are practiced during a certain time of the day, when one sits still and relaxes while practicing non-judgment. We can think of silence, and if we understand that thoughts come and go, we also can realize it would be impossible to control thought movement. Instead, we need to stop identifying with those thoughts and let them go and let them pass. Benefits. Countless studies have uncovered the benefits of practicing non-judgment. Studies now show that being less judgmental brings about various positive psychological effects, including increased subjective well-being, reduced psychological symptoms and emotional reactivity, and improved behavioral regulation. Studies have also demonstrated that practicing mindfulness or mindfulness-based therapy, MBP, is a beneficial intervention to reduce negative psychological states such as stress, anxiety, and depression. Along with that, one may experience more of the following: seeing the beauty in everything. When we stop labeling everything as positive, negative, or neutral, we open ourselves to seeing the beauty in every aspect of life. We stop wanting to control everything with judgment. When busy controlling life, it is always against us. But when we are busy living life, we can best appreciate its beauty. Increased feelings of gratitude. When we feel what we have is never enough, it generates an endless quest for more. Remaining non-judgmental allows us to feel content, grateful, and satisfied with all we have in the present moment. Inner peace. Judging ourselves, others, life, and events requires a great amount of energy. An astonishing amount of energy is wasted in living with the need to project judgment onto others. Doing so only contributes to more suffering. The more we grow spiritually, the more we are willing to stop wasting energy judging life. Letting go of judgment and replacing its negativity with acceptance leads to inner peace and joy, and frees us from unnecessary emotional pain. This, in turn, will allow us to experience the serenity of the inner self, instead of the continual internal chatter of the mind with its thoughts, emotions, sensations, and memories. See reality with discernment. Our thoughts create the world that we see. To change the world, we must change our state of mind, allowing reality to come to us as it is without judgment. We will see things as they are, including ourselves and others, without adding or subtracting, without projection of memory or influences from earlier conditioning. As we see more clearly, we are more likely to use discernment and see all things with equanimity, more present with others. It is easy enough to observe that people who judge themselves as well as others will always find problems, whether from the past, present, or in the future. They are lost among their problems. Choosing to avoid such judgment will help prevent viewing life as problematic and will encourage being in the present with self-possession. More loving. Living with less judgment frees us to love and appreciate others as they are. Mother Teresa said, "If you judge people, you have no time to love them." And this is equally true if you live in judgment of yourself. Develop a non-dualistic mind. Duality compels us to see ourselves as separate from all that surrounds us, but spiritual growth enables us to recognize everything as interconnected, with each encounter and occurrence influencing the next. We discover the limitations of the cause and effect model and turn toward a more complex system. What then follows is the result of a broad range of factors: environmental, social, psychological, spiritual, individual, and genetic. From this point, there are conditions that increase or decrease the likelihood of something happening. Observing nature makes this easy to understand. There's infinite functional interconnection and interdependence. Indeed, a garden without care, water, and light will not thrive. Develop intuition, right brain. The right brain controls intuition, creativity, and awareness of the energy around us. For example, reading people with our hearts rather than our minds. Discover the true spirituality. In true spirituality, there is less judgment, and you can see the bigger picture of life. God sees us with compassion and love. There is a proverb from Shams of Tabriz, Muslim Sufi. How we see God is a direct reflection of how we see ourselves. If God brings to mind mostly fear and blame, it means there is too much fear and blame welled inside us. If we see God as full of love and compassion, so are we. Cognitive distortion. People who tend to be overly judgmental often have irrational ways of thinking, cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions were developed by psychiatrist Aaron Beck and are part of cognitive behavioral therapy. They are simply ways our mind convinces us that something is false. These inaccurate thoughts are usually used to reinforce negative thinking or emotions. Studying these examples will help to find any that feel familiar to you. Once negative thinking habits can be identified, we are able to distance ourselves from them or replace them with rational thoughts. Negative thoughts tend to occur just before and during distressing situations. Rationalization. Rationalization occurs when we create excuses for events in life that don't go our way, or for poorer choices made in an attempt to protect us from hurt feelings. We may call them permission-giving statements that give ourselves or others permission to do something that can harm our mental health. Overgeneralization. Overgeneralization categorizes people, places, and events based strictly on personal experience. If a woman has a history of being treated badly by men in the past, she may see all men as cruel. If your first boss was abusive, the experience could lead to you feeling that all employers are abusive. Overgeneralizing risks missing other opportunities that don't match a personal stereotype. Mental filter. Discounting the positive. Mental filtering rejects positive experiences or creates an inability to see them. Only the bad is noticeable, requiring that anything positive be filtered out. Critical self. Self-blame for events outside or beyond personal responsibility. Mind reading. Mind reading assumes that you know what others are thinking. Fortune telling. The belief that we know what will happen in the future. Jumping to conclusions. This allows for a negative interpretation, despite there being no clear facts. Compare and despair. This permits only the most positive qualities of others to be seen, while viewing our own in a negative light. Catastrophizing. The belief that only the worst possible thing will happen. Black and white. All or nothing thinking. The tendency to categorize events as black or white, without consideration of anything in between. This views situations in only positive or negative extremes, rather than taking into account that each may instead possess both positive and negative aspects. Magnification. Magnification exaggerates the importance of everything beyond normal proportion. Personalization. Seeing ourselves as a cause of external negative events. Labeling. An extreme form of overgeneralizing. Rather than defining an error, we attach a negative label to ourselves or others. I'm a loser, or he's an idiot. Ways to practice non-judgment. Like any new habit or shift in our mindset, being non-judgmental takes practice. By following these simple steps and becoming aware of and also releasing our judgments, we will be on our way to a more relaxed, open, and peaceful mind. Keep a journal. Take time during the day to record self-talk in a journal. Reflect on the day's interactions, experiences, feelings, thoughts, and judgments. Try to see if any of them are irrational or negative thoughts. If so, try to replace them with a more rational and positive one. Journaling can help us discover how often we act or react judgmentally, and can also assist us with figuring out how to begin to shift this behavior. It can also offer a greater understanding of and confidence in who we are, which could prevent us from comparing ourselves to others. Meditation. Practicing meditation frees the heart from judgment. During meditation, whenever our mind wanders, we practice non-judgment by gently redirecting our attention to the original object of awareness. Meditation grounds us in the moment and helps in moving beyond the conditioning of the mind. It is also useful in detaching from situations and outcomes, allowing us to experience and appreciate things just as they are. Among the most useful meditation apps are Headspace, Calm, Abide, and Insight Timer. Breathing meditation technique. Sitting comfortably and silently, focus your attention on your breath as you let go and relax. Place one hand on your abdomen and the other hand on your heart. Breathe in through the nose for a count of 8 and hold for a count of 4. Breathe out through the mouth for a count of 8. Mindfulness meditation. Notice when judgments arise. Witness the effect it has on the body and mind in conjunction with that judgment. Recognize the resulting thoughts without judging or clinging to them. Move forward with clarity, staying present through the experience. Judgment diffusion through visualization. Letting go of judgment technique. This requires imagination. People who grow spiritually practice letting go of positive and negative situations. Recall 3 negative and positive situations. Imagine sitting in a peaceful field watching your judgments float away on clouds. Picture sitting beside a stream as your judgments float past on beds of leaves. Envision standing in a room with 2 doors and seeing your judgments enter through one door and leave through the other. Visualization and guided imagery techniques. Choose a memory of a time that you felt especially good. Close your eyes and imagine it happening again. Who was there and what are they doing? What color clothes are they wearing? What sounds do you hear? Breathe deeply and discover the aromas in the air. Relax and enjoy yourself. Take a few slow, deep breaths. Close your eyes. Visualize yourself on a beautiful beach, mountain, or in a forest. Imagine yourself smiling, feeling happy, and having a good time. Make it more vivid in your mind. If you are visualizing the beach, imagine feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, the smell of the ocean, seaweed, salt spray, and the sound of the waves, wind, and seagulls. Remain within your scene for 5 to 10 minutes, or until you feel relaxed. Progressive muscle relaxation, PMR. During this exercise, you will work with almost all the major muscle groups in your body, from forehead to feet, practicing tensing and relaxing muscle groups. Sit or lie down in a comfortable position. Begin by tensing all the muscles in your face and hold for the count of 8 as you inhale. Exhale and relax. Tense your neck and shoulders, again inhaling and counting to 8. Exhale and relax. Continue down your body, repeating the procedure with the following muscle groups: chest, abdomen, arms, hands, making a fist, buttocks, and legs. Let go of first impressions. Avoid judging others by a first impression. People come in different sizes, shapes, and colors. See that we are perhaps different in appearance, but we are all from the same source, and our differences arise from the development of species, genetics, and conditioning. Let us not judge a book only by its cover. Avoid comparisons. Whether comparison leads you to think you're better or worse than someone else, the reasoning in either case is unhealthy. If you must draw comparisons, measure yourself with an earlier version of you. Don't change yourself to simply have people like you. Be yourself, and you'll attract the right people into your life. Practice Ho'oponopono, Hawaiian therapy. The releasing method of Ho'oponopono originates from the Hawaiian therapist who cured a hospital ward of criminally insane patients. The treatment involved only the exercising of Ho'oponopono. The first step asks that you express your regret for all that has happened. Such an admission may be painful, and you may well resist accepting responsibility for problems out there. When you've been able to convey remorse, the second step requires that you ask for forgiveness, not only for yourself, but for your ancestors as well. The third step is the showing of gratitude for everything that has happened in your life, and the last step shows your love. In this practice, you see yourself through love. Thus, when one is suffering, we all suffer, as we are all interconnected. When encountering a negative situation, consider saying in your mind these 4 phrases to the person causing the difficulty. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Silently speak each phrase repeatedly when witnessing the negative behaviors of others. What if I must make a judgment? Seek wisdom and discernment before you speak about sensitive issues. Develop an awareness and sensitivity toward others who have made bad choices. Resist the temptation to form quick opinions about people you know or don't know. Have the humility to accept the truth that you do not know everything. Desire the best for the person you judge. Help others make amends and find self-forgiveness. Exercise. What benefits would you experience if you start practicing non-judgment? What cognitive distortion do you usually experience? What techniques would you use to practice non-judgment?